Scruffy Audio Network.
Hey, we're finally doing it once again on another podcast on a Friday morning, and I can't believe that I got this guy to sit down with me for 40 minutes. Hopefully he give me a little bit more time. His name is Papa Hoch in the Woodgym. He goes by Brian Hochevar, and he is a beast. He's probably the best around with pitching. He's had some success with a guy that's on the wall named Luke Hochevar, that's pitched with the Royals. He was the first overall pick in 2006, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Papa Hoch, the one question I ask all my athletes, and you have three unbelievable kids. Brittany Hochevar, that trains with me, professional sand volleyball player. Dylan Hochevar, who played baseball at UT, and we could all agree, our program director doesn't know Dylan too well, but we could all agree that he's probably the best athlete out of all three.
He's there.
And he's nuts, because anytime we mountain bike, he's amazing on a bike, so you can always tell somebody from a mountain bike ride. And then you have Luke Hochevar, and I've been blessed to work with all three. I've been blessed to call you a father figure, an uncle. I mean, you're a rock. We travel together. The question I ask all my athletes, and so you have three of them, and if you could give me a short story on all three, is when did you know that they were different with their sport?
That's good.
Now, I did see your wife at a ball game last night, and I told her, I hope she didn't tell you that question yet, but I told her the question I opened up with. And she told me Luke's, but I want to see if it's parallel to what you said.
Yeah.
So let's go with Luke Hochevar first.
Okay. Luke was really talented all the way up. Luke is he's knows what's going on. He knows what he wants, and he's known ever since he was little. He could handle that.
That's what I'm saying. Like Dobbs said, he knew in Pee Wee. Harrison, 8th grade, he looked a little different on the football field. JP knew that Aaron Sevia, who was here last week, baseball player, he knew at, I don't know what age he said. It's always at 12, 13 that I find. I don't want to answer it for you,
right. But
when did you go, he's different? That
was it. It was, I knew he was, his work ethic when he was 8, 9 was unbelievable for a kid. You know what I mean? He loved the game, and he played. He played a lot of things, but baseball he was just in love with. But, you know, I can remember when he was, one of the things that happened that I know is every day I would come home from practice, okay? And I teach all day. I'd go to my practice, whether it was basketball, baseball, coaching. And when I came home, they would be waiting for me, either to go to the gym, you know, with Britt or go to the baseball field.
So you didn't have to make them?
No, I didn't have to make them. But
nowadays.
Who got it? But here, if it ain't an organized practice, they ain't going nowhere, right?
Brother, you're speaking to the choir.
Yes.
Practice ends when practice ends. And
that's
nobody
right.
does anything.
And let's go to the house.
Yes.
That's right. Well, I told Luke, I said, listen, I'm not going to tell you, that, hey, today we need to go, let's go to the cage, let's go hit, or we need to go. I said, when it comes from you, it's real. And I want to know when that is. Probably the biggest mistake of my life. Because every day when I drove home and I pulled in, he was sitting on a bucket with Dylan. Sitting on a bucket of balls with his bat and glove and cleats. And so what we did was I never went in the house.
What's the age difference between Dylan and Luke?
I think it's 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
So was Dylan waiting also?
Yeah. Dylan would be with Luke.
So when you came home, they weren't on video games?
No, they were sitting on,
get out and work.
They were sitting on the front porch and on a bucket of balls waiting. And, so I never even got out of the car. I just pulled in, I had an old 280Z, flip up the hatchback. They threw the balls in there. Dylan jumped in the back. Luke jumped in the front. We were off to the field. And this was a daily deal. But I knew then that he had the heart for it. And I knew then that it burned inside of him. And, you know, he would make the comment I know this is a story that Carm likes to tell us, that he wasn't going out for recess. And the teacher said, "What's going on?" You know, he says, "Well, I got to have grades so that I can go to college and the pros." Right.
How old was he when
it was 12? You know, like that. And so 10, 12. And I mean, just stuff like that. He was always really motivated and obviously very talented. But his focus was laser. I mean, from day one, he gets it, man.
He gets it.
Oh, man, he gets it.
So the story, and then we'll wrap up Luke, because that is amazing. We could talk about all three of your kids for an hour, each kid for an hour. You're talking about the heart, you're talking about the want, which, you know, do you think that was, did they see you? Was it, you know, Proverbs 1:8 in the Bible of the actions over words? Was it like, did they see what you did to get like that? Or was that just innate? And that's another topic we're going to talk about. Is it born? Is it not? Is it?
I think a lot of it is born.
So do I.
And I because I think that, you know, and then the next level is they see what's going on in your life. And you know, since I was coaching at, you know, in the junior college level, in you know, college level, in the high school level, I think they saw that, you know, what was going on. And I think that influenced them, you know, to see it every day. But then again, what burns in you burns in you. You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of people be around things a lot and just, you know, kind of go the other way. And so, you know, I think it's just, and our game time was not, you know, our family vacation was a baseball tournament. You know, we didn't have money. You know, I was a teacher. Carmen was a stay-at-home mom, so we didn't have shit, right?
Right.
And so we're sitting there trying to make this thing work, and you know, we just, that was the deal. Luke's baseball tournament was a vacation. Brittany's club was a trip, you know, to Denver on the weekend. So that became, you know, pretty much our life, and we just, and there was nothing we could do about it, but we had fun with it. We made it the best.
So both of them would sit, that's when you saw Dylan and Hoch, Luke, for people out there who don't know. When you pulled up and saw them on the bucket, that's when you said both of them had that same.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. It was nothing. I mean, there was a few times where I was just smiling and really bring a tear to your eye. But most of the time it was like, let's go. Here we go. You know, it's just, here we go today, right? Just today.
Okay. So those are the two boys. So you answered my question on those two. Where's Brittany at this? Cause she's older.
Right.
Okay. So the guys are 12 and 8.
Right.
So Brittany, when did you know? I mean, you've had 3 extraordinary kids.
Brittany, yeah, they've been amazing.
I mean, one thing is talented, but I was telling your wife last night, I was like, it's one thing that they got all this talent. It's another thing of the human beings that they are. They're amazing. I mean, you should write a book on it because I need it.
It's the leadership of God, man. That's all there is to it. I mean, I'd have messed it up.
Amen.
But
with Britt, when did you know?
She was about the same age. She was getting, this is crazy, Charles, but she was getting mail, a Division I mail from Penn State and people like that when she was 12. And I mean, she was setting in the 16 division when she was 12. And
what do you mean
setting the base? She was setting the volleyball. She was a setter on 16 and under team. Right. Yeah. But she is, she's amazing. And just, she was a really good basketball player. And she played a couple of AAU tournaments, scored a ton of points. And then one day just came in and said, yeah, I'm going to still play volleyball. And then it was, okay. And so we would go, I mean, we were coaches. We had the keys to the gym. That was our game time. I mean, that was our fun time, right? And we didn't have money to buy any video games, thank goodness, right? We had them, but I don't know what the heck we did with them. You know, they were never hardly ever used.
Right.
The thing about it is gym was a fun day. You know, so we went to we'd either go to the ball field and then here's the thing, if I took the boys to the ballpark, then I had to come back and then we go to the gym with Britt, right? So it was just fun. It was just, that was our fun. But, I mean, she would work and work and work and it was, you know.
Same thing.
She wanted to go.
Brittany, let's go to the gym and get you better. Or was she going to take me to the gym?
Take me to the gym. Let's go to the gym.
She was saying,
oh yeah, let's go.
So all three of the kids
Right.
were telling you, let's go.
Right. And that was the thing about it. My whole deal as a parent was, I will, if they're going to sell out to that, I will not say no. I will not be too tired. I will not say no. I will not say, hey, I'm too tired to do that. Or I won't say, hey, let's do it tomorrow, because they were wanting it right now and they were wanting to work at it today. And so we lived in the now, and I said, I will never say no. And I never did. I never said no.
So that was your downtime with all your kids.
Absolutely.
Vacations,
Absolutely.
Downtime. And did Carmen go with you?
Yeah.
So it was just like you said.
Oh yeah.
Family
She was right there. Yeah, she was right there.
All right. That's pretty cool. That's neat. That's.
And we don't hate each other. With all that travel and everything, we never hated each other. So that was pretty cool.
So it's got to be amazing watching all of them do what they do.
Oh, it's a blessing.
Understanding the work that had to go into it is what I'm trying to get across to all my athletes. And I'm sure you're doing the same with all the pitching guys that you have. And the same. Do you ever refer back to, hey, this is the way Luke did it, or is everybody different? Or, how do you size up everybody? Nowadays, the mentality approach of like, you're no nonsense, you're just like me. I think that's why we fit so well and became family. And the Woodgym is, your getaway also. Yeah. And you come in here and you're doing the same thing you did. Now that you take me back to that, is you come in with Brittany and Hoch and are part of their workout.
Yeah.
When you first started coming in, I'm like, oh gosh, what's he going to do? But now that I get it all, it's like, this is what I've done.
Right. Tricep Thursday.
I see. That's great.
Yeah, baby.
That's right.
No, it's just, you're part of it, and you're a big part of it, but yet you're in the background. And that's the way I like to work is when I was a young coach, it was all about me. I mean, I was a ball rack throwing, cussing, spitting son of a gun because it was about me. It was about me turning programs. And as soon as I matured as a coach, I matured as a dad, I matured as a person, because then it became about my players. And it became about the kids. And now I can sit in the background and have kids have great success and have everything happen and still sit in the back and say, yeah, those are my babies, right? But I don't want anything to do with it as far as the credit goes. Credit goes to the man in the arena, right? And so that's the way we live, and staying in the background, working hard with them, but it's theirs. And it has to be real. It has to be them. They can't rely on, what I do or what anybody does for them. That's a big thing, but it's how they respond to their individual responsibility. Okay, it's responsibility.
So yeah, before we got on the air, you were saying some really cool things, and that's why I came up with these, so we could get the cool things out there for our viewers and listeners. I'm going to try to shake it up again to get that again. I don't know if we got it. I know what you were saying is what you can't control, what you not control, but there was something else with that. But I'll segue that into the mental approach, the mental toughness, and I'm on this right now with some of the athletes, and some just left, is mental approach, mental toughness, confidence, self-confidence. I think you were going to say more innately than not, right? I mean, would you say your kids got the mental approach of digging in instead of digging out from you guys, teaching them, or was some of that there and then you can massage it?
I think I think a lot of it is work ethic, and a lot of it is your faith, right? And a lot of it is what you see, and I think if you, like I say, you are who you learn from. And so you go through this thing and you see the kids just busting their tails and they're working and they're following what's going on and the example that people are setting. And then it's just, then it becomes their responsibility. You have to put it on them, and it's their responsibility to take care of what God gave them. You're responsible for your gift, right?
Yes.
Be passionate for the gift, respect the gift, Mm-hmm. And we stress that a lot to our kids, that you got to respect the gift that God gave you. You can't just let it, you can't piss it away. And so that was one thing that I think that and we can say that things are lacking today and this and that because we have all this, we have all these excuses, with the video games and with the TV and with everything, The bottom line is it's up to you. It comes back to your heart, what your responsibility is, and it comes back to the parents putting that on them. No excuses, right? Nothing that you do what you do and then you handle it.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish he could repeat what he said before we got on the air when we were talking, ball and home runs and pitching. I don't know what that was, but I think I'll get it out of you before we're done. I don't know. That's driving me nuts. So when you go now you're pitching. Now you're world famous pitching coach.
I don't know about world famous.
Well, I mean, everybody goes to
you. Legend in my own mind.
Well, you're no nonsense. You get it done. Do you see the same thing that I see? And I've listened since I've been doing these podcasts. I've really been listening to a lot of people, and I listened to one with Steve Nash. If anybody doesn't know who that is, they should. The guy from Canada had one scholarship, 2-time MVP. He consults with the Golden State Warriors now, and we're talking about self-deprecation, take your business seriously, but you not so much. Laughing at yourself is what Popovich from San Antonio Spurs head coach was talking about. Do you find, and I know I do that, the most confident people, he never wanted a trainer or a coach to have answers for everything. Absolutely. He always liked the guy and chose the guy to work with that said, man, I don't know that. And he thought that was the smartest guy in the room, not the guy that always tried to give answers even when they didn't know that. So taking yourself not so seriously, I think it's one of the biggest things. And everybody comes to this Woodgym, the first thing they do is go, oh my gosh, I spilled this coffee all over myself. Can I get a pair of sweatpants? It was, let me tell you the story of what an idiot I am or what I did. And then those guys are the studs. The girls are the studs. Do you find the same thing with who you're working with and the self-awareness? And like we talked about, and I love you for this too, as you became a Radomir Kovacic fan, have you understood that, you're over in that area, your family came from that area overseas, is he always told me, Charlie, people aren't going to come to you to tell them what they're doing right. You got to tell them what they're doing wrong. And do you find that now in this generation, 2019, that they can't take that even though they know that's coming from love?
Right.
Was it 1 Corinthians 13? I hope that's right. Of you're saying you're getting in somebody's ass because you love them, whether it's your kids or teaching. Do you find that? I know Luke said you don't turn off, you should never turn off, but do you find you're doing the same thing that you did with your kids that you're doing 6 days a week with the pitching?
Yeah, I tell you what, it depends again on the age too. You're working with the younger ones. When you work with the younger ones, you're more of a positive, reinforcing the strength and correcting the weakness.
Right.
But hey, it goes back to my dad. My dad was a World War II veteran, fought in the jungles of Guadalcanal, and was 40 years in a steel mill. This guy was a man's man. And he always said the same thing that I carried on to my kids, and I told my kids and I've told my players that, if I'm not in your ass, I don't like you. If I stop talking to you, I don't care. If I stop getting after you, that's when you worry, right? And I told my players that time and time again, if I'm riding you like a tick, I care about you. And you need to understand that's how my love is. But the day I stop talking to you, you can be real nervous, because then that's when I've washed my hands. And so that's the same way you treat things. And I can see that and people will jump to that fashion and they will see that and they'll respond to that. Right. And they'll know that you got their back. And that's the thing, they got to know you have their back, you have them covered. Right. But, in the other essence, it's like, we have to then balance. It's a balancing act because we can't be totally drive, or then we lose them. It's got to be a drive, and then back up a little bit to where it's like, we're not taking this, you don't take yourself too seriously, what you just said. Mm-hmm. When we take ourselves too seriously, man, we just really blow it out of the water, because then we become, and they become the important thing, instead of respecting their gift, respecting the game, going that direction.
I hope my program director's listening to all this.
She is.
And I just, it's one of those things where, again, you gotta love the people you're working with, which you do. You have that passion, Charles. That's why Luke's there. That's why Britt's been here. It's the passionate part that you have, that you throw out. And it's the same thing. If people see your passion, they see your heart. And it's like we just talked about a minute ago, right? I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you the word.
That was a quote I wanted
I'm going to speak truth.
I love that. Right before we got on the air, Hoch and I, we always come back to talking about Jesus, which I love dearly, and I know you do. But this is a flawed institution, this Woodgym, so you're going to see it.
We're flawed people.
It's a train wreck, but it's my train wreck. And talking about different books and everything I'm getting through the Woodgym, and you just said the best thing, and it was, don't give me your opinion. Give me your word. So you were saying, and I'll let you speak on that, but you were saying, like, it's nice that everybody's writing about the word, but they're giving their opinion instead of going straight to the word.
Right. There are some, and don't get me wrong, there are some good books out there, and the thing about it is, God help me how much I hate self-help books, right? I would be a Nazi in that case and book burning, right? But
it's stacked up by somebody.
Oh, absolutely,
dead or whatever. Yeah. It's a person that's not doing anything.
Exactly, exactly. Right. But I had a preacher one time in Fowler, Colorado, and he was very, very strong. And he said, when people ask you something, don't give them your opinion, give them the word. And so it came back to, what's in the Bible. So that's kind of spurred me on to where I will read a few parts of other Bible. I don't think I've finished a whole book of anything like that outside, to be honest with you. I've read a little bit, and then I usually close it down, and then I usually use the receipt that I bought the book with as a bookmarker, and it's usually 2 years old.
I love it.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, always goes back to the Word of God. It always goes back to the Bible, because that is the truth. I don't want to give a lot of opinions. I want to, speak truth to people. And that's why, I'm to be honest with you, Charles, that's why I love you to death, because you do speak truth. Sometimes we're brutally honest. As coaches, as trainers, we're brutally honest, which is okay.
Right.
And then sometimes we're arm around, right? And then you can do both. You can have an arm around a guy's neck and still be kicking him in the ass.
Yeah.
And so there's a balance there. And I think that's a key word too, is balance, that we have to strike to really get the most out of people. But it comes right back to, are you speaking truth, or are you giving them your opinion of what's going on?
I love it. Yeah. And I call it, a foot in the ass or a slap on the ass, and some of those athletes, you could go, dude, you got to get better. This ain't working today.
Right.
Or you could go, I know you could do better. Let's do it today.
Right.
And that's what you find in 28 years of doing what I'm doing. I get that. And now the integrity of the Woodgym is almost at 50 years of age, and it's getting better each year, Hoch, and we talked about that before we went on air, is I pick and choose. Yeah, I want the same integrity. Yeah. Because everybody in here, and I've always started this business from I the Tiger, is I want everybody to see that they're wanting to be the best version of themselves.
Yes. And first day I walked in here, I knew that. I felt it. The first day. I mean, I heard about it, from Luke and Britt and Dill. But when first day I walked in here, I knew it. And then just meeting you and getting to know you, I know it's straight up. The heart is right. The heart is true. Are we going to make mistakes? Yeah. Are we going to be wrong? Yeah. Are we going to be dumbasses? Yeah. The bottom line is, what's your passion? Where's your heart? If we're going in the right way, it will be led by the power. It will be led.
Yeah. And I think that's why we now have a good business relationship also, is, I'm the first one to go, hey, you got to go see this guy. He's selective. He don't take everybody. He's going to shoot it to you straight.
Yeah. And I will send anybody here in a heartbeat. If
you think they're a Petrone guy,
exactly.
they say the same thing. They're like, I don't know if you're a Petrone guy.
Yeah. You have to go over there and check it out because you might not.
Yeah, I had a couple new inquiries this week, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to come check you out." And I was like, "Correctamundo." I'm checking you out now. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Yeah, I'm giving some money back to people. Let me write you a check back.
See, people
not working.
Yeah,
and it's just not working. I'm too old for this shit to be putting up with it. You either take it or you don't.
Right.
So, and I think that's where you come from is, can you coach mental toughness? Or is it like Dr. James Chu, who was on my first podcast ever, he's going to send me one about a dog breeder. And I know I'm wearing someone out with this type of topic that I've been on, is Louis Simmons, another mentor of mine in Columbus, Ohio, that I went and lived with in the 90s and studied under him. I love his approach. You're either born an MFer or you're not an MFer.
Okay.
And he was like, he thinks, either what's wrong with getting bullied because at some point you're going to punch back, so, he's very hard in his ways. Now, with that being said, when you talk about dog breeding, well, there's different breeds of this dog is aggressive. So this world famous dog trainer has to go through and look at certain dogs and go, this one's aggressive, so now I can teach this one to attack and go through this door. If this one's not aggressive, it's going to take me forever to see if I could do anything like that. Mm-hmm. So that's where Radomir Kovacic came in years ago when he said, work a lot of your strengths, not a lot of your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do you mean by that, Radomir? He said, well, Charles, he had that Yugoslavian accent in Queens, New York. He said, if you come to me an 8 and we put work into that 8, you can be a 10. But if you come to me a 3 and we put work into it, you're still going to fail at a 5.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
So when you talk about the dog breeding or whatever somebody's coming up, it's just like a gene pool of this one's bred for that, that one's bred for that. Can you coach that tenacity? Can you coach? Is mental toughness and mental approach, I've been discussing with parents, dads, agents, athletes. I think they're two different things. Mental approach means, right? You have a good mental approach. You come in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Mental toughness, like my program director was talking about, the Marine that crawled across the Boston Marathon. You're not coaching that shit.
No, you're right.
That is, he wanted to be a Marine because it was in him. It wasn't to make him tough. Can you coach toughness?
I think the thing I see a lot is and I say this a lot to kids and not the younger kids, but I say this a lot to kids is, man, you got to get a little damn it in you, because I see a lot of times they'll go through the motions and be executing things and try and just kind of, be working their way through. And then that's a good point. Mental approach is how do I get the ball to the glove? Okay. What's the best way for me to get the ball to the glove? Mental toughness is I'm going to shove it up your ass. Yeah. That's the difference, and therein lies the difference.
Right.
And now when you have those two together, you're real. In my estimation.
I agree.
Okay? And when I know what my approach is, and I know I'm going to get it done, and then that was a great point of speaking to your strengths, because I think what happens a lot of times, and I know this in pitching, and I've thrown this out there, and they keep telling me, damn it, you're too old school, and I keep saying, golly, I see people pitching to lineups like in the SEC, how good a league as that is. I see some of my kids, and they'll be facing Vanderbilt, and they'll be pitching to the lineup because Vanderbilt's lineup is so strong. Instead of saying, this is my stuff, this is what I have, here it is, you're either going to beat me or I'm going to beat you, but I'm coming at you.
Okay, pitching to the lineups, I think I'm getting it. I'm getting a nod.
Who they are.
Who they are
instead of who I am.
I love it.
I love it. I mean, this guy really...
So that's what they do.
Yes. I'm telling you, you can see it, and you don't even have to... I mean, you can see it just by watching mannerisms, body language.
So they're pitching to
his weaknesses instead of their strengths.
Mm-hmm. So they're throwing saying, balls they shouldn't be throwing because they think they can't hit it?
I don't know about that. It could be. It could be the pitch selection. But more than that, I think it's, this guy, he's a fastball hitter. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit more soft and go away, which is smart, right? But what is your strength? If I'm throwing some guys throwing 94, 97. If I'm throwing 94 or 97, here you go. Here it is, brother, right? You beat me, you beat me. You don't beat me, it is what it is. But I think we're losing that. I looked at scouting reports when Luke was in the pros, and he showed me a scouting report. It belonged in the Library of Congress.
What do you
know
mean?
what I'm saying? A scouting report on the Cleveland Indians.
Okay.
He showed it to me one time. It's 2 inches thick. And I said, holy cow. If I got to know what every hitter's hitting right there, instead of just somebody putting down a number and me going to get it, they've got everything. We've got, Charles, in baseball, we've got spin rate. We've got shape of the curveball. We've got this Rapsodo stuff that measures everything. God bless them for the science of this stuff. But you know what the bottom line is? I got to kick my leg up and get it to you.
So
and
let's
go.
That's why.
And that's why people look at me like,
That's why you're Radomir guy.
Yeah, you're too old school. It's not that easy anymore.
It should be that easy.
Bullshit, it's that easy.
And we went over that too. I was studying with LeBron's trainer and Kobe's trainer. You like it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not rushed for time because I got the man sitting here, so I'm gonna make sure I
As long as you like, I'm good.
Is the best ones like this is a great analogy, and I was like, I thought I was just by myself because you know me, Hoch. I don't do much. I sit in the Woodgym. I'm in the woods mountain biking, or I'm home.
Right.
If I'm traveling with an athlete, that's what you. I'm here.
I'm with
this
you.
Is my
I'm the same way.
This is it, right?
Yeah.
So when you're inside this box and people are going, man, were you surprised? Harrison Smith's, multiple Pro Bowler or whatever somebody is, or Hochevar came back from his Tommy John and pitched Game 5 World Series winner, or no, just they're like, well, why not? I'm like, well, because I'm surprised of the work they do in the off season. That's what I go, wow, that's impressive. Not what they do on Friday, Saturday, or Sundays. So the trainers I were talking to, from LeBron to Kobe to Curry, they're like, are you surprised he's a great 3-point shooter and does what he does? They're like, no, because what he does when the lights aren't on is what's surprising with the Kobe's and everything. And it all comes down to simple and basic still works. And There will be no gimmicks in my coaching or my gym. And I pull them right out. There's no ropes. Right. There's no different machines. It's because it all always comes full circle.
Exactly.
And that's what Radomir and Louis both agreed with, is until they can name a different name for that straight bar and those dumbbells there, they're always going to be a constant.
Absolutely.
And give me some space and I'll give you results.
Right. Because you're exactly right. Because all those guys you mentioned, Harrison, Luke, the people that you've worked with, is their biggest thing is when it's all over, can you look yourself in the mirror? It's not about I'm doing this, and I see this in a lot of people. It's already in our showcase mentality now.
Excuse me, what's a velo? I'm
velocity.
But like you have to tell me this, and I know a close friend of mine that is the UT baseball coach. The showcase is it that much, or can you still just play the game? Because years ago, Pennington and I came up with shirts that said, "Just play the game."
Right, just play. It's become a showcase thing because they're looking at they're recruiting and they're signing kids in college and in the pros on tools, not on heart, not on competitiveness, but on tools.
Because if you hear this all the time,
if a kid's throwing 87, 89 miles an hour when he's 14 years old out of the outfield, and they've got velo, and then they've got exit velocity off his bat, and they've got what he runs in the 60.
What's exit velocity?
The ball coming out of the ball coming off the bat. Because they measure the ball coming off the bat, how fast.
Yeah, but you two guys I'm sitting with in this office, can you not see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, but here's the thing. They go by that now because now it's measurable. And so you're signing kids off the tools. You don't know what you're getting as far as.
But you could punch him in the face.
Exactly. Is he going to fight you back?
Right.
Exactly. See, and that's what I've got guys throwing, 85, 86 that will flat carve you up. And then I've had guys that were 93, 94, couldn't hit a bull in the butt with a handful of rice. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those
But your
things.
son was saying, like, he's been in here so much and he hangs out so much after he trains and could hear all the different dads and all the different high school guys going, my son throws 92 already. And Hochi would say, well, that's great. Can you get over the plate?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's just it. But you're seeing this. And so we've taken it on to where, I see them where they'll get these guys and they'll take them and then we'll coach them up. And then it's a whole different world, So when you get that rare guy like Luke and like Dylan, and where you've got that rare individual who comes in and he's got God's gift of a great arm, and he's got the great body, and he can flat throw it, hit a net in the ass at 60 feet 6 inches. You're in business because now you got a guy that'll spot you up and kick you in the tail.
Yeah. I mean, there's what you both.
So you're really not making athletes.
Skill set athlete.
It's like a.
Well, I mean, that's what I was telling my program director. A pitching is a skill.
Right.
There's not I looked at that team last night. I'm like, there's not ball players. There's not just athletes. There's just not ball players out there anymore.
Right.
And, she can get frustrated if she wants, but it's true. That's a fact. It's sitting out there. There's not a ball player working dynamics whatsoever. And you really hit on that too. Of man, when practice is over, it's over. Nobody's going to the tee, the nets.
I have a friend who is a college baseball coach, and one of the things that he said that really tickled me was he liked one of my kids. And he said, you know what I like about him, Hoch? He says, that's the kind of kid that'll go get a drink out of the garden hose instead of getting a Gatorade in the third inning from his mama.
I love it. From his mama.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's and really, that's what we're lacking.
Is that coached or is that innate? Or is that product of environment? Listen, coaching, I was going to ask you this. You work with a demographic that's probably a little bit different than mine. This is a I wouldn't say an adult gym, but I don't have the clientele that I think you have. And I want to hit on that of your percentage of kids that are 7 to 10, 10 to 13 or whatever, because I always go in this cyclist. Again, she's going to kill me for this, but it is what it is. It's from my therapist. It's from sports psychologists. It's what I studied at UT in Central Florida and then worked with some of the best sports psychologists in the world to understand. 0 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 11, 11 to 13. You are done with your mental capacity of toughness, or your character is basically formed there. I think the opportunity that you have and what you're blessed with, I think you deal with a lot of those kids in that age category much more than I do, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I almost have to go, this kid either has to come in a Petrone guy or I got to try to make him for a minute.
Totally agree.
Right?
Totally agree.
So you have that opportunity of really doing something different that I don't do. So,
and you can form them to a point, but then again, you look at what we're doing and
the garden hose thing was...
Is that classic or what?
Yeah, priceless.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Right.
But the bottom line is you see it as the parents come in, you see what's happening, right? And you see, and when they come in, you kind of have a clue of what's about to happen.
Reading the client, this could be another 2-hour deal because now 28 years doing it. Hochi, I've been doing this since 91, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I've been doing it for 38 years.
Okay,
coaching.
so we're there.
Yeah.
And then, growing up with my father and sitting at the end of a bar stool at 3 years of age and him telling me to watch all the characters and the personalities. Like Chewy, Dr. James Chew just did one on me for 3 hours that I haven't released yet on my podcast so people could understand who and when and how I was who I was. Yeah. It's all about understanding and reading people. I could tell.
Why does Uncle Chip have 2 watches? Right?
Yeah.
You're sitting at the bar. Why does Uncle Chip have 2 watches? Whether he knows where he's coming or going.
That's right. You can see a lot, you read a lot, and you can tell if that person's going to work or fit. So you do the same thing of reading the people and understanding.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you see, and the thing about it is, I don't think you can predict it, but what you can see is when that kid comes in, what his parents do and how they respond has a lot to do with it. But you know what I see? is I see some of the kids that I misread some.
Okay.
Because the parent will come in and do and act in a certain way, and I'll be like, okay, let's see what happens here. That's why I don't focus on the parent.
Yeah.
And you don't either.
Yeah.
And that's why I look at the kid, and I will see a kid actually make some moves to do things right, and you're like, okay, then he's gonna be all right.
Right.
You know.
Right. So the age that, I mean, because you work from everything to professional down, I get that. But what's the age that is your sweet spot?
Gosh, right now, I'd say, wow. I really like the young ones right now. The 10 to 12. I really like those guys because they're very formidable.
You got a huge impact.
Exactly. But I'm also really liking, I like them all. So there's just a different version of each one. You go into the middle school age kid, he's starting to figure out what's going on. And so now, is that flame going to burn and he's going to take it on, or is he going to kind of filter off? You can see it. You can see it start to happen. And then you get into high school, and then you either got the kid that's, he's flat going to get after you, or he's going to go through the motions, and when he gives it in, he gives it in. When he packs it in, it's over. Or you get the guy that, is going to get after you no matter what. So I like all the ages,
right? Because
you can see the maturational change that they go through. And I'll tell you what, I've had some kids. I mean, like some of the really good kids I had them since they were 8th graders. I've had them since they were 7th graders, all the way through their college.
Right. So you did the same.
And so you see them go, but but it's only 30 minutes a day, a week.
Right.
But in that 30 minutes, you make an impact to where they're texting you on the weekend or when they're playing and telling you what's going on. And so, they're taking it very seriously because you're hearing from them, and it becomes a big deal.
This is what you see a lot, and I know I see it in a lot of sports. I want to ask you how to prevent it, or is it just something that happens when you get that 8th grade athlete that's pretty special, freshman pretty special, dominating as a sophomore, but then they don't go to another level. They peak, let's say peak early, whatever word you want to use, but you peak early, that 8th grade to sophomore year. I see it all the time. And then they just phase out. Where does that come from?
I think it comes from people telling them how good they are. I think what happens too much is I think people get to telling somebody, dang, you're good. And I'm guilty of this. But the thing about it is, when you tell them they're this good, when they start to, like you say, peak out or whatever, that's because they have bought into the fact that they're really good, but they're not pushing. So it's our job as coaches, as trainers, to continue to push that envelope and say, hey, you're really good, but here we go. Now, you've done this, but here we go. So that's why just what I see with you, what you did with my kids, tweaking them, what we're doing with our pitchers, where every time they come in and they're getting older and they're getting better, we tweak them a little. Hey, let's focus this today. Let's perfect these two things today in this drill. And then we go to the mound. That's our focus point so that you get better. And then when they can see themselves, hey, I jumped a little today. Now you don't hit that peak. It's the dangerous thing is you're there. You've arrived, right? And you're 13.
And you're never there, right?
No,
I mean, that's what makes it best of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I mean, I just see so much of that with the athletes today. It's like they made it. Even Chad Pennington and I talked about that. The Jets quarterback that I've had since 15 is we see people get drafted and they're like, I'm good. I did it. Mm-hmm. And they don't know that there's another level of work coming that you got to stay there.
So not getting there, staying there. Thank you.
Yeah. So I see that a lot, and I really worry about those kids that I don't know if they get over themselves, but now they don't know that they have some talent, but your work ethic has to go on, right?
Right. We can change that. See, and that's what we do. And that's why I love what we do, is that we can change that. We can actually have a huge impact in that, of where we can if a kid's got that heart and got that fight, we can actually push him over the edge, which I've seen you do, and I've seen some of my kids it happen to.
Well, you're just looking through the window now. You can see, if you guys can't see, you're not watching on YouTube, but we have a window that looks out into the weight room. I mean, it's Good Friday? Mm-hmm. We had kids in from 6 and 7 in the morning to now you're seeing a great little girl that plays Catholic volleyball that already signed with UT, and I started training her, I think, in 8th grade. You know, I trained her brother that's the safety at Tulane, and she's in here getting it. But wait, she already committed to her 1A school as a freshman or sophomore. So her choice, it's all choices. We know that. That's even biblical, correct? I mean, so her choice is I can sleep in. I'm Cassie Kushner. I already made it. But is that innate taught, or even a little of Hochevar or Petrone well, he's in there grinding, so I'm going to grind? It's
a lifestyle. I mean, golly. I mean, we were brought up coaches. I mean, and now there wasn't a day went by I didn't have a ball in my hand growing up. Right now, my dad he played catch me once in a while. He didn't do anything else with me, but he used to tell me. You know, I mean, I'd be sitting there if I was sitting there in the house, I could remember him telling me, "What are you doing?" And I knew exactly what he was saying. It wasn't like, "Go do this." It was like, "What are you doing?" And it was looking at you like, you know, "Are you out of your mind sitting here?" But those things are bred. They're brought up. They're trained. You know. And I know, you know, in this day and age that people are very into, you know, they have to take care of themselves. They have to take care of their families. And I know that people are working 2 jobs, and you know, and mom and dad are working, right? But that's where we were a little different. I told Carmen, "You're not working. You're going to stay home with the kids. That's your job. You're a mom." That's what we okayed that one before we were married, and you're going to be there.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, gosh, if there is, then we messed up.
Well,
right?
There's a lot of mess up out there.
Yeah. So, but we said that's what's going to happen.
I love it. Right.
Now, once the kids got in school, you know, then, you know, she started coaching and doing her things, and she's been real successful at it, and she's done great. But, you know, we knew where our kids were. We knew what they were doing every day. And the thing about it is, it wasn't like, and that's why it was beautiful, because I knew where my kids were. When I drove up every day, they were going to be on the bucket waiting for me, or they would be waiting to go to the gym, because I knew where they were. It wasn't, now, usually and then again, they were playing in the yard, they were playing, but we were really involved. But I got to tell you the truth, it burned in them. My dreams for my kids were huge. Now, was I living vicariously? No. But I wanted them to understand that dream that you have can be realized, but you got to sell out to it, and you got to live it. And the thing about it is, my dreams for them was way bigger than their own.
So you didn't go. You weren't the dad. I mean, because you also played at a high level. I mean, you had a stint with the Nuggets.
Yeah, you have a cup of coffee in the big leagues.
Cup of coffee in the big leagues.
I had an espresso.
Yeah, exactly.
It was quick, man.
Hey, but you were there. I mean, that's, you know, the thing, the apple in the tree, it's right there. Did you put a ball in Luke's hand and a volleyball in Brittany's and a ball in Dylan's and go, you want to be this, or are you going to play sports, or did you say, "Hey, I'm going to support you in whatever you do"? You pick it, or did you go, "Luke, you're going to be"?
We just played. When they were little, we just played, but we played ball. You see, I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, we played games and did this kind of stuff and tag and all that, but everything was around a ball, you know. And we went through like, I think we went through like 10 of those. Remember those little Michael Jordan plastic hoops? We went through 10 of them things. We would break them every week, right? I mean, half of my salary went to the Michael Jordan hoops. I mean, he's going to the Barbados on me.
Yeah,
but
right.
We're playing, you know.
They were doing something.
Oh, absolutely.
They were active kids.
Yes. And the thing about it,
did you have to tell them to be active?
No, we just, let's go, you know, and it was, let's go. No, I can't remember ever saying, "Hey, man, we're heading to the gym." Britt said, "Let's go to the gym." Okay. Everybody put their shoes on, you know, and, you know, "Hey, we're going to the ballpark." Brittany would shag on batting practice. She'd go shag baseball. She was running around there. Yeah, Carmen would just hang out by the fence. She never shagged. She wasn't into the heat. But, but it was, you know, I mean, we were constantly around that. So family was the biggest thing to me.
Well,
Family's it is.
Yeah.
And family's the biggest thing. And I mean, it you know, I want to say it's God and family. I can't see God. And so I'm just a human. And so I trust Jesus. I trust God. I know he's there. I want to put him first. And he is first because he's taking care of us. But it's that family, man. I mean, that's what it is all about, and that's what you live for. And no matter what it is, you know, I mean, I see people that are, you know, I see people that, you know, get divorced or get separated or whatever, and that family still is huge, and they take care of business. And it's, you know, it's going to happen. It's the human spirit. But they got to know, and these guys knew that it was game time, you know, and we made it fun. And that's the thing about it too, is you make it fun. You know, I mean, right now, you know this, Charles, we're in an age of, they train and then they don't work on their game unless it's in practice. If it's an organized practice, I'll be there. But if it's working on my own, I don't know, you know?
You know, when we pick up, it's amazing how we pick up because it's almost like we're on the same wave of whatever's going on, because I just preached that the last month to 2 months, and we haven't seen each other, but when we see each other, it's like we're living with each other. We picked up like we just went on a weekend guys trip. If it's not fun, you're not going to be good at it. If you don't love it, it's not going to be fun.
Right.
It works hand in hand, and you see so many of these kids, it's like, are you having fun at it? Are you loving it? I love doing these podcasts. I was excited all week knowing you were coming in today. I got excited this morning, and I was like, because it's going to be fun, and I'm going to love it and love him. And that's what we miss now, because like you just said, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you said they come home from the field, they're done.
That's it. If it's not an organized practice, they ain't working at it. And the thing about it is, like I said, it's a game. Golly darn, it's a game, right?
Have fun.
Right. What do they say? Let's go play baseball.
And
you don't work baseball.
Right.
You play baseball.
Right.
You know? And
right.
Let's go play basketball.
Right.
We never say, let's go work basketball.
That's
true. You work that. And the thing about it is, if you're serious about it, yes, you work at your game, but it's fun.
But
the work is fun
right.
because you're putting in something that you love.
Right.
If it becomes a job, then
forget about it. And that's how I view every day coming here. I never say I'm going to work. I say I'm heading to the Woodgym.
There we go. That's what I say.
And I have fun, and I dance around, and I could cut up, but then we could get after it. And that's what, all the parents say the same thing. It's like, man, they seem like they have so much fun. I couldn't get them to do anything or whatever. So then you click something, and that's where you pull out maybe something that wasn't innate, but they didn't know it was in there, or it was developed.
Yep.
But I really do think the real MFers are the one that's come out going.
Oh, yeah.
And then you massage that, and then you got it.
When you got somebody that's saying, I'm kicking your ass and this is a blast. There's a whole different than a guy who's just got his one eyebrow saying, I'm going to kick your ass because I trained this way.
Talking fun in the training center arena of speed and strength and all that, but I've noticed, I think you hit on something that I've been talking. My real big thing right now is positive energy.
Right.
Happy. So if I'm like this hard ass that wants to tell everybody they're doing wrong, no, that's a coaching cue. But besides that, I'm coming with happy energy and positivity. And I'm not saying, it's raindrops and lollipops. No, but I'm saying it has to be to the point. I've been going to some ball games lately. Baseball, softball. Nobody looks like they're having fun. No, everybody's worried about it. There's stress on their face, and I studied stress this morning coming in biblically, and they talked about anxiety and stress, not fear. No. Because you face fear.
Yes.
And the word is you overcome fear. Right. It goes away. Stress and anxiety does not.
Be anxious for nothing.
Be anxious for nothing.
Be anxious for nothing. God will take care of it.
It's in Matthew.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's so true. Be anxious for nothing.
But you watch these kids. Either they're on the mound, and it's like they have to perform. It has to be, because this is still fun. Mountain biking, training, talking. This is fun, and that's why it's somewhat successful.
And see, that's one thing I've really had through my career is being positive. It's just being really positive and knowing that, hey, here you go, man. You got that done. Now, let's go to the next level, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can't go to the next level until you reach that one stage. Now you reach that stage and you can go to the next level. And why not have a blast doing it? I've never understood why, people have to, I understand the grind, but if you don't love it, then go. Just go, because it's not gonna be part of it.
I know you're not this. This guy, I think I know two people out of all the people I know that have flip phones. One is Papa Hoch and one is his son, Luke Hochevar. And I envy him.
That's a dream.
I envy him because, as he says, I'm off the grid. Don't send me pictures. Don't do anything. And please don't send me videos of I'm grinding today. I'm working harder than anybody today.
Right.
I think I was talking to Harrison Smith, the safety, Vikings safety. And he was like, God, if I have to see another social media of somebody grinding, like, we really have to show that what we're doing so we could get that positive reinforcement instead of, he likes to train at 8:00 at night with no TV and no radio and the lights off and go, let's just get to work.
Right.
Let's have fun working.
Yes.
Two things I want to wrap up with, because I know everybody's busy and this guy. One thing, one is funny and one is pretty cool and serious about this man in front of me, is I've always watched his approach. And I'm telling you, these podcasts pull it out every time. I learn so much from these things. These podcasts are almost like Tony Robbins in church in one. You know what I'm saying?
Good,
you get so much out of everything, and you're really learning. And I think I came to a staleness a couple of years ago of like, I feel like I'm stuck. The training's one thing. I could train somebody to do a 40 with my eyes closed, or rotational swing, or velo, as we say. But I'm like, I think this is a new purpose for me that I really like. With this, Hoch, I've never seen a man, and I've seen a lot of men come through here, that has two of the best qualities. He's so relaxed, yet so intense when he has to be. Yeah. And that's what I get. And people will define you without another person. You can't define yourself. People see that. You know what I mean? And I learned that from businessmen and mentors I worked with. They're like, well, who are you? And I'm like, I don't know. So I spent three days with certain people, and after that they're like, let me tell you, because you don't know. I would say that defines you. Is I've never seen a man so intense and so relaxed all in one.
Yeah. And
that's pretty damn cool, because that's what I was trying to say, is like watching these parents at these ball games, from the baseball to the softball, and I was like, I've seen Hoch at the highest level, not AAA, not AA, not single A, not a major league baseball game, at a World Series. And he's the same as having a cup of coffee here in the Woodgym. And that's amazing. And that's whatever you are, your makeup is, whether we know it's Jesus, but there's a lot of alphabets in that suit.
Thank you.
And that's amazing.
1 minute at a time.
That's amazing.
It's enjoying living in the moment, I think, is the hugest thing. It's like when we ask for people ask for the Holy Spirit for the wrong reason. They say, well, it's going to make me stronger. It's going to make me do some things. We need to ask and ask for God to bless us in the moment, because that moment is all we have. You don't know what's up, you don't know, and you don't care what's behind, because it's gone. So living in that moment, and where you're at, be there fully, be present, where you're at. And I think that's one thing that I've done, and I don't think about it. You gotta live life to the fullest.
So what's the one cue that we could take away from this podcast with, and again, I see I'm starting to go to more ball games now, because now I have a flex schedule like the NFL. Right. If there's some games, I'm going to go watch. And I haven't done that in years, and I'm in a good space that way. I've been watching a lot more games. What can you tell the parents that are out there that are so stressed? How do you become you and so reliable? And even watching Carmen yesterday, she had some ball players that play volleyball that are out there and she's just so same way as you are. I mean, you guys are almost identical with your behavior. What's the one point you could tell somebody just to watch the game, relax, have a drink before you come? I mean, what is it to go, hey, I've done the work, I put some work into my kid, and it is going to be what it is.
That's it, right there. You do the work before the game begins. Preparation. You've stressed that, Chaz. I've heard you preparing, and that's what you're doing in the off season with our kids, right? You're preparing them for the competition. And I've always said practice is work. It's a grind. Games are a blast, because that's what you're working for. And so we put so much.
Sit back and watch.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that performance is not going to be who you are. That performance is going to be you've grinded, you've worked. That performance doesn't say who you are. That performance says what you've done and what you did that day, right? And you can't always be on the top of it. But the thing about it is one thing you can do, and the thing that I look at when I see kids play, when I watch kids play, not how good he was, but what was he like when he struggled? Did he struggle like a man?
I say the same thing.
You know, and I
want to see somebody in adversity,
fight.
in the dog fight,
exactly.
in the gunfight. I want to see what they're like.
Yeah.
I want to see, that's their makeup.
Yeah.
Because don't you think, and I know you do, when people go sports will build character, and I say bullshit, it reveals your character.
That's right.
It reveals who you are.
That's why it's
You're
beautiful.
going to be a gentleman, you know, all the way going to how do you treat the waiter, the waitress,
Exactly.
the bartender, the barmaid, or the hostess.
Absolutely.
That's how you treat everybody.
Absolutely, man. It is about how do you fight? How do you compete? How do you fight? Because that in line, you're going to have your great ones, you're going to have your bad ones. But if I lay it all on the line, and my dad told me this, if you lay it all on the line, the bottom line is it doesn't care who your critics are. It doesn't care what they think. And my dad's biggest thing, my dad lived his life by saying, you know, screw them all but six and let them be pallbearers. Because he just basically lived his life, and I'm gonna live my life, and my kids, I want them to compete as hard as they can, leave it all on the line, and then from there move on, because that game is gone forever. It's just like a pitch at a time. Everybody says it. Well, I throw that one pitch, it's gone forever. I can't get it back, so I can't worry about that because that influences where I'm at.
Well,
I can't worry about the next one because it ain't here yet.
Right.
Take care of the now. Once it's over, learn from it and move on.
Yes, stay in the
It's
present.
life.
Yes. Yep. Amen. Awesome. And, you know, just for you guys that don't know, Papa Hoch has been my nutritionist also, teamed up with Harrison Smith about not buying into the gluten theory, which, you know, put me almost in a hospital in Miami. We're going to have a book out with Harrison Smith and maybe a co-author with Papa Hoch. Harrison's like, his big thing is, why don't you try gluten? With his hands up in the air and his shoulders shrugged,
Maybe
you know,
it's okay.
like maybe you could be a gluten eater. And I want to come over on Sundays and eat, but can you make me some gluten-free?
Oh, no.
See, you won't do it.
No.
You won't do it.
You're coming to the house, baby.
You won't do it.
Carbonara.
It's carbonara. That's what put me down in Miami.
That's right.
At carbonara.
Yeah, with the same bucatini.
I was on my knees.
Oh,
I was on my knees.
Gonna soak up that fat.
That's awesome. Papa Hoch, thank you so much. For
All right, Charles. Love you, brother.
I love you too. Thank you.